Hi everyone, it's Anja here and I'm back with another video for Ophelia Talks. And today in this video I am going to show you how to make a scrap blanket with granny clusters in any size. Yes, in this video I have made it for Layla's bed, but I am going to give you the technique and all the tips and tricks that you need to make this for any size bed. Single bed, twin size bed, double bed, king size bed. There will also be another video for the border, and I also have come up with a small cushion for this, so there'll be a video for that as well. And of course you can use your leftovers, your scraps, your stash. Let's get going. So what do you need to make this stash buster blanket? Your leftover stash, of course. So this is all Starcraft Special DK. I like to keep my one blanket in one and the same yarn. Okay, so it helps to, sort of bring the blanket together. So all your leftovers, and I generally just blind dip them, so I don't know which color is going to be next. Then you will need to work out which hook you're going to use. Now, all this Starcraft Special DK is prescribed as a 4mm hook. So this is my 4. But as some of you know, because of my tension, I always use a 3.5. This is my 3.5. So, check which you normally use for that particular yarn that you are using. And this time I am going to use a 375. Just as a little experiment and just to sort of change things up a bit. So I'm going to put these two aside. I'm going to keep this one handy. Then also you will need scissors, of course, because when I make my stash busters, I do one row for each color. You're not allowed to go over one row, and that sort of helps in the randomness of the blanket. It makes it a lot nicer, I think, than just having blocks of color. But of course, if that's what you want to do, and if that's what you are going to do, then go ahead and do that. But I change colors every row, so I need to cut off my yarn, and of course also I then need to sew it in. And also what you will need is your tape measure. Now we are going to measure the width of the blanket that you are going to be making. I am going to be making a blanket for Layla's bed today. Now Layla's bed is the size of a baby doll play bed. It's a bed from IKEA and the width is about 40 centimeters. So I'm going to make this one 45 centimeters wide, so it hangs down a little bit. So I have here my builder's tape measure because I like that. I like the fact that it sticks out like this. So I'm going to be making it sort of this wide, 45 centimeters. But this is the thing about, this is the reason why I wanted to do this video. So many people ask me, but what if my bed is wider? What if I want to do it for a double bed? What you are going to need to do is chain to your measurement of your bed. So chain to the width of your bed. And then our multiple is 3. So we will sort that out. I mean, if you have 2 stitches left over, then so be it, okay? We will just forget about those stitches, or we will indeed just undo them. And that's the only way that you can actually, make any blanket for any size bed. I am going to chain to the width of my bed, which in this case is 45 centimeters. So whatever your measurement is, that's what you're going to chain to. Then you're going to add 2 more for the first and the last double crochet. And also you have to take into account that the initial chain will expand slightly when you put your first row of stitches on. So you might just want to chain, depending on how big, of course, you're going to be making your blanket, or how wide, better. You might even want to take 5 centimeters off, or 10 centimeters. But to be sure, chain more rather than less, because you can undo your chains. Okay, let's get started with a slip knot. So you hold your yarn in your hand like this, wrap it around your fingers twice, face looking at it like this, take your back strand, bring that to the front, take the strand that's then at the back and bring that to the front, and then the strand that's at the back, you lift that up, you let go, and you have your slip knot. Insert your hook, and like I said, I am going to chain 45 centimeters, maybe just about to 45 centimeters. So I am not counting my stitches here, I'm not counting my chains. I am just going to measure how long my chain is. That way you can make this to any width of bed that you want. We only use a multiple of 3, so we're never going to have that many chains that we have to undo again once we have established our pattern repeat. And let me just check. Do you know what? I think I'm at 43 centimeters here. So I think I am going to leave it at that. So this is my base chain. Now I'm going to add 2 more to it for my end and my starting double crochet. So this is our first stitch location. We are going to chain 1. And that is our turning chain. Now we're going to yarn over, and you go into that stitch that we indicated just now as our starting location, and you are going to do a double crochet. There we go. So this is my side of my blanket. Okay, so every row is going to start like this. Now we are going to start our repeat, and for granny clusters the repeat is a multiple of 3. So you can see here, this is the stitch that we used for that first double crochet, so this doesn't count for now. And now the next 3 stitches is where we're going to place our first repeat, and for a granny cluster that is a cluster of 3 double crochets. So we're going to yarn over. Into the middle stitch of those 3, we are going to do 3 double crochets. Now a double crochet is where you yarn over, you insert into the stitch, into the chain, you pull up a loop, you have 3 loops on your hook, you yarn over again, you pull through 2 loops, you yarn over again, and you pull through 2 loops. Okay, so that's 2 double crochets. Back into that same stitch, and we've done our 3rd double crochet. So we've skipped a stitch, we've worked in the 2nd stitch. That's to start with. Now we are going to skip 2 stitches, and we're working in the 3rd to do our 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3 in here, 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Now as you can see, I am picking up 1, 2, and in the 3rd I am picking up here. Can you see this little V here? Where those 2 strands meet, that is where I go in, and I have 2 strands on top of my hook, 1 underneath. And that is how I always pick up my chain when I go into the chain. And that way it doesn't stretch. You might think it does, but look, if you were to pick up just the top one, as I see many people do, look at how this stretches. Look at the hole. See, and the other one doesn't make that hole. Okay, just let me undo that and do it again. And I did it again as well. No, do it the way you do it. There we go. So 3 double crochets basically in every 3rd stitch. 1, 2, 3. Of course, it helps to know what your chains look like. So let me just point that out. See, this is one chain. That's the next one. And this is the third one. Okay, so into the third one and off we go again. Now, of course, we have not counted how many chains we have on our line. And to be honest, it does not matter, because at the end of this row, we will sort this out. So if you are now making a blanket for a single bed, then your width of your chain, the length of your chain, could be nearly 1.20 meters. If you are making a blanket for a double bed or a king size bed, it is very possible that you have now got a chain of 3 meters to deal with. Okay, so I wish you good luck. Keep at it, do it sensibly, keep counting really well, and do it at ease. Take your time, and it will all be worth it, because this is your first row. After the first row, you are not going to have to, 1, 2, 3, you're not going to have to be counting anymore to find the location. So yes, I am concentrating, I'm talking, but just take your time to do this first row, making sure that you've used every third stitch. I will see you at the end of your row. Okay, so I've made it to the end of my row, but as you can see, I've got a number of chains left over. So if I now do a cluster here, then I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 chains left over. And to be honest, I need 1 chain left over and then the chain for the double crochet. So I will have 2 chains here left over for nothing. So that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I can get rid of those either in the border or I can unpick them. It's okay. So that's about the maximum amount of stitches that you're going to have left over. So there we go. So that's my normal working in the third. Then we skip 1 and we work in the next one, because that's what we did in the beginning as well. Okay, so you just have the 1 chain in between the cluster and your end stitch. So now we're going to do the end stitch, skip 1, work in the next one. There we go. And that's a double crochet. Okay, so this is the side of my blanket here. This here is surplus. And in a few rows, I'm just going to unpick that. And I've done this before. Look, it comes undone. Look, you can easily unpick that. Don't cut it off, obviously, but just unpick it and leave the end hanging out. Okay. So now I am ready for my next color, because as I said, I am not going to go longer than 1 row for 1 color. But just before I show you how to change color, I'm just going to put this on my measuring stick again, and I got just about 44 centimeters wide here. And that's perfect. I don't mind. It's 44, 45. It's okay. That's fine for me. Okay. Once again, when you have done this, please make sure you go and try it on the bed again. Okay. If you have the possibility, go and lay it on the bed, see how long it hangs down. If you have measurements like I did, just check them again. Okay, just to make sure that it's not going to go wrong. Okay, that it's not, gone too wide, or that maybe it shrunk. You never know. So if your work has turned out too long, measure to where you want it to go, undo those clusters, and then place your 1 double crochet as your side. Then unravel the chain, and then just continue working as I'm going to in a moment. So to change your color, you're going to undo the last pull through. So I'm going to go back to my original loop, and back into the previous loop of my double crochet and pull this one out. So I finish the row really before I pull through the last pull through. Okay, now I hold my new color and I hold it the way I would have held this one, the pink one. I yarn over and I pull through, just as if I was still crocheting with the pink one. And now I am going to do my 1 chain, you turn, and exactly as we did before, into that very first stitch where that 1 chain is coming out of, you're going to go in there and do your double crochet. Okay, so this is our side done. Now we are going to do clusters, and in fact we are going to do clusters in between the clusters of the row below. But this is quite a gap, so we are going to do half a cluster here and half a cluster on the other side. Okay, so you're going to do another double crochet, and now we are going to get started by doing your clusters of 3 double crochets in between the clusters. There we go. Okay, so this way we keep a straight edge. So really we're sort of doing half a cluster here and the last double crochet at the end. I will see you at the end of the row. When you get to the end of your row, you do your last cluster there. Then you find that last stitch here and you do your double crochet in there. But remember, only half a one, because then we are changing color. Let me just find the middle of that one. There we go. And you pull through with the next one, with the next color. There we go. Okay, then you do your chain 1, you turn, and you do a double crochet in that same stitch, and you do your second double crochet around that chain space there. So you do your half cluster, and then off you go again. Why am I always going in there? There, in between the clusters. Okay, off you go again, doing your 3 double crochets. And this way, in a way, you're doing a double crochet here and then 2 here. So in the beginning here, we did 1 here, 2 there. So you always start now with doing 2 double crochets and then off you go and you finish in 1. And so now you're just going to keep adding rows until your blanket is the length that you need. Again, you're going to have to measure that. Okay, you just make it as long as you think it will look nice on your bed. But yeah, I am really enjoying doing this mini blanket, and you know, it's just so lovely seeing the colors come together, even though I am just picking them as I go. So I am just finishing the blanket. I've had a great time making this. Of course, it's a Layla blanket, so the rows are short. It's been lovely to make this, you know, sort of do a bit of blind dip for my colors. And yeah, okay, yes, I still have to sew in the ends, but I don't mind. It's a small blanket. It'll, you know, be done really quickly. And here we are, so the last stitch into that V, and you finish it off just like that. Then you cut off the yarn and you pull it through. There we go. Okay. Okay, so now we're ready to sew in the ends. I've got my darning needle here, and all you need to do really is take an end, put it onto your needle like so, and then I keep the color within the color. So I'm going to go in here, go into the stitches and around, go through there. So making sure you're not going into the magenta, there we go, and back into the green and coming out. Yeah, gently pulling so you don't pull it in. And then I do a loop the loop around this one here and go into there, back into the next cluster, trying to pick up some strands there. Tug it a little bit, loop the loop around this strand, and just move along. And as you can see, I have left my ends quite long. I always do that. Makes it so much easier to work with. And then when you're sewing them in, you can go for quite a distance. Now, obviously, that's up to you, you know, how far you go. But I'm thinking doing the loops just helps. See, look, I just go around, making a little loop around the strands there, and that just helps to secure the ends. So here we are. There is Layla's scrap blanket without the border. So I have finished the body of the blanket, and I think it looks really lovely. It's so cheerful and it was such fun to make. So I do hope that if you have chosen to make a bigger one that you are enjoying making it, but I have to say this little one, absolute great fun. I will see you in the next video for the border, and then I also came up with a darling little cushion for it, so that will be the video after that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.